So 20 years ago, it was dead easy to spot a fast bike. They had those bright anodized dust caps, die-shaped, you know the ones I mean, guaranteed to make your bike 10 miles per hour faster up the top end. And if you wanted your bike to be hellishly fast, well obviously you needed to fit one of those flame effect exhaust cans. And don't even get me started on the weight saving advantages of one of those faux carbon tank pads. Put one of them on and your bike would be ballistic. But obviously time's moved on and so have bikes and the way in which we tune them, which is why we're here at Cadwell Park to find out how you make a fast bike even faster. A bike like this, Yamaha's R1. So what's the plan? Well, we're going to go out on track with this bike, completely standard, to see what it's capable of, to see what it feels like, how well it goes, what kind of pace it's got about it. And that's going to kickstart a series of developments we're going to be making to this bike. Today's all about the basic gains, so we're going to be changing stuff like brake pads, tyres, chain and sprockets to make this bike as track orientated and as fast as possible. Changing the kind of stuff that you would want to change first if you were converting your road bike to the track. To make this test as fast and professional as possible, we've teamed up with Mackenzie Yamaha. We've got their riders on board and we've got their crew chief, Chris Anderson, on the spanners, changing the parts and making sure this bike is as good as it can be. So the circuit's live, track's drying, sun's out, it's all good. First things first, I'm just going to go out there with the bike completely standard, get a feel for it, come back and see what we do next.
So then Bruce, you've had your first run, what do you think?
I like it, a little bit too soft for me. A few places it's just kind of rebounding really a little bit too quick, it's diving a bit too hard. Yep. The ABS is kicking in a bit too much as well for my liking.
Okay, that's no problem. Obviously with a full electronic setup we can change that to suit your needs and we can put a bit of compression, a bit of damping into it, sort it out. Yeah, no worries. As it comes as a road bike, obviously it's got to be for the middleman, an 8-stone guy or a 16-stone guy, so they try to make it so it works for everybody. So this is the idea of the track day, your own riding, where you want to make the bike suit your needs to make you comfortable. Both Bruce and Taz have both come back with very similar feelings, that just a bit soft on the front, dropping through the stroke a bit too fast. Just going to stiffen up the front a little bit of preload, bit of compression and send them back out. For you guys doing this at home or for your track day, try and stick around 2 or 3, maximum 4 clicks at a time so you can get a proper feel of how the bike's reacting.
So quick update, we've done a suspension change to the bike. The bike's now feeling a lot more firm, plush, handling the way we want it to. What we're doing next is we're changing the tyres. We're going to a Michelin Cup 2 as a control tyre that's going to run throughout the whole series. They're more track inclined. It's one of the first things you should probably address when you're trying to make your bike faster and safer on track. More grip, more stability, more fun.
I think when we put the tyres in, and especially for me, changed the ABS on the brakes, it just allowed you to have a bit more feel in your hand. I think that was the biggest improvement from such a small change really.
And like you say, when we put those tyres on it, you know, that for me, that didn't just give me more confidence with the grip. I actually felt the physical change on the bike, like change of direction was a lot quicker. And
yeah, definitely. I think Cadwell's the perfect track for that. There's a lot of different types of corners, like hall bends. It's so flowing. If your bike's not turning, then it's going to mess that whole last sector up. So I think that, like you said, putting the tyres in definitely made a massive difference, especially through the flowing sections.
So we tweaked the suspension, we've got the track rubber on the bike, and now we're going to turn our attention to the gearing. We want to get the very most out of this R1's motor.
Right, so we're halfway through the chain and sprocket change. We've gone from the stock 1641 to the go-to Yamaha gearing, which is 1543 with a racing 520 chain from the 525 stock. The reason for the gearing change is A, lighter chain, smaller chain, less drag, less rotating mass, and then also you imagine standard road bike gear is for 190 mile an hour. We're not doing 190 mile an hour on Cadwell today, that's for sure. Another bonus of changing the gearing is you can change the length of your swinging arm. Now, one link is equivalent to 14 millimeters, which makes a hell of a difference on a race bike. Longer wheelbase, slower turning, but less wheelie.
the thing that I think has made potentially the biggest difference and put the biggest smile on my face today is the gearing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Again, Cadwell, there's a lot of corners that are sort of dead stop, like the chicane. It's such a slow corner, and the standard road gearing is quite sluggish off the bottom. But you think changing the gearing won't make a massive difference, but it did. It just gave you that bit more peaky power and just punched off the corner and a lot better. Again, not a massive change, not something internally in the engine to make it go faster. It was just a case of changing the gearing and made a big difference over a lap time.
Okay, so next up, we're taking a look at the foot pegs. The standard ones are great. They're that middle of the ground option for road riding and all that kind of stuff. But on track, we want a little bit more clearance. We also want to be able to move the foot peg to suit us and get our weight where we need it on the bike. So that's why we're fitting some GYTR rear sets. There's loads of adjustment and the pegs are so much more grippy.
We both complained about a lack of grip on the pegs. We both had our feet coming off the standard road pegs, and I guess the truth is they're designed for everyday kind of street riding, and you're not really weighting the pegs the same like you are on track and all the rest of it, but it scared the crap out of me. You know, when you're kind of hard round a corner and then suddenly your foot comes off or whatever, and putting those on, I mean, what a transformation.
Yeah, definitely. I think whole bends again, where you're pushing on the pegs the whole time to change direction. My foot actually came off going from left to right, and as it went off I was changing direction, and I haven't got the biggest legs, but it's some kind of kilo and mass that's coming off the bike and can affect it. So again, rear sets that have just got that little bit more grip that allow you to push a bit harder on the pegs and just ride it a bit more comfortably, it made a big difference in the end.
Final modification of the day is the brake pads. We're removing the OEM pads and going for actually a Brembo Z04. Whilst doing this, we're removing the spring plate. We don't run these on track days because the less friction on the pads, the better. Now, the reason we're changing the OEM pads and going to the Brembo is the OEM pads is for everyday use, hot, cold conditions, whereas the aftermarket pad is there for the high temperature. The brake fade is greatly reduced and you have a lot more feel to the lever, which is for your fingers, for your brain, that's what you need.
It was so obvious to me, that extra bike, that extra purchase and feel, and you know, it's far less vague than, in all honesty, the standard setup actually is. The byproduct of that, you know, the bad side, if there was anything, was it felt like I was braking harder and deeper, and then you were having the ABS still kick in, but at times when you really couldn't afford for it to kick in. It almost kind of helped 90% of the track, but I guess the bottom line is, we need to get rid of that ABS, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, if you have that initial bite and you're not getting to the ABS, then it definitely allows you to carry better speed. When you get a bit more confident on the brakes, like you said, you don't want to get to the point where the ABS is kicking in and it's sort of taking that braking power away from you. Like you said, the ABS is definitely the next step to sort of take that away, and it's such a small change that it can make a big improvement over a lap.
I guess, you know, the bottom line of it is we've not exactly reinvented the world with the changes we've done today, but, you know, accumulatively, even step by step, we've noted significant differences, and the kind of stuff that, you know, if you were to do on your bike, you know, you definitely feel those advantages. It's been a cracking day. You know, we've got lots more planned. Part 2 is going to be coming up, and it's been exciting. We're at the start of something quite epic, aren't we? And,
yeah.
And it's in one piece, so that in its own right is a win, isn't it? So,
Definitely.
You're coming back for more?
I think so, yeah. No, I genuinely think I am.